After this video, you will know what we hate about our new life here in Colombia.
Welcome to How to Expat. My name is Tacha.
And my name is Sam, and at How to Expat, we help expats relocate. And yes, there is not a lot we hate about living in Latin America or here in Colombia. And you won't hear what we hate because we don't really hate a lot of things in this world. But we will talk about what we don't like or about our new lives here living in Colombia for a couple of years now. So let's get right into it. The first thing is noise, so take it away.
Well, it's let's just say it's really rare to have a quiet second here in Colombia. There's just always something buzzing or music or fireworks, we had, oh my god, we had a car alarm going on for 2.5 days. So we were 2 nights just with like the how do you say, earplugs, and it was horrible.
And believe me, the Colombians, they have so much patience. Like that car that went off around every 20 minutes for 2 days straight, throughout the night too. Nobody said anything. Like the Colombians are so noise resistant, like, and it was not really too close to where we lived. Like it's close enough that it really was a hassle. But there were houses way closer, like right next to where the car was parked. They didn't do anything. Like I would have thrown a stone in or anything like that.
Come on now.
No, that was really tough. Like they couldn't have slept. But anyway, like that's, just one big example of how noisy it is.
Well, the funny thing is actually, I mean, if you have seen a couple of our videos, you've seen that we recorded videos outside too. So the funny thing is, what you don't see is how many times you had to restart the video because you press the play button and all of a sudden loud music, like in that very second, or someone starts to maintenance work, something's always starting to buzz or like to be loud.
Exactly.
So it's unbelievable. That's why we keep at home, like we stay at home for that videos.
Anyway, so we talk about the things we don't like about living in Colombia in our lives. If you live in other parts of the city where you will spend more for rent or stuff, it will be way quieter. So it really depends probably on the street you actually live, but this is just our lives here. So then where we live, like Medellin is a city, right? Medellin is in a valley, so outside of the valley there's a lot of nature, but in the city not too much. So especially with the dog and stuff, we don't find ourselves a lot to be in the nature. And that was one thing we would like to have. Especially once we planned of living in Colombia, we thought we live more in nature, and actually now we're living in a bigger city than what we have in Switzerland.
So true.
So that's one thing I don't really like about living or about our new life here. Then the other thing is transport. So we don't have a car or a motorcycle here, and we just rely on public transport. With the metro, it's great, like the train which we have here in Medellin. Other than that, the buses are quite, let's say, adventurous.
Bumpy.
They're bumpy, and you never really know where exactly it's going. So you need to speak Spanish to ask the driver where exactly the bus is going. And then the taxis, you never really know if you have a crazy taxi driver, and sometimes they're really diverse. And then especially we have a dog, and sometimes if we have to go to the vet, to a special vet or something like that, we have to pack the little guy, and then sometimes don't want him in a taxi and stuff. And
well, in general I would say it's really pet friendly here, but getting into a taxi is sometimes a real hassle because they will not allow your dog to get into that cab, right? So depending on the size, also if they're that small, it's no problem. But just in general, you have to know that it's not as easy to get into a taxi with a dog.
Another thing I don't like, and this is more related to that we live in a big city now, is just rush hour. So what we do actually, if rush hour is going on from around 6 to 8, we don't really plan to go through the city anymore. So let's say if we met a client somewhere on the other side of the city and we want to go back home, we just eat lunch out, dinner out. So we don't even worry about the whole thing, because it's just a hassle to go from one side to the city to the other. But this is not just in Colombia that way, it's just general in a big city.
Yeah, it takes forever, and that goes that transfers exactly to the next point, waiting time. So when you're not a patient person, it's gonna be harder for you, at least at the beginning. You stand in line for smallest things forever, at least, like at the grocery store, at the bank. Like when you go to the bank, it takes us at least 45 minutes to an hour. It doesn't matter what we need, it always takes that long. Even though there are just a few people, it always takes long. Like in general, everything is just like a little, like let's add 10 minutes at least to every single task that you do here.
Exactly. Then another thing is, let's say if you're from LA, San Francisco, New York, or someplace like that, it won't be too much of a difference. But for us, we said this is what we don't like about our new lives is safety. We're from Switzerland, so we come from one of the safest places you can be on this little blue planet. But here things are different, right? It's a big city, not everybody's nice. So you have to watch out. You cannot go everywhere where you would want. You have to watch your stuff constantly. If the metro or the train is packed, you have to be careful. And all of these little things, which in Switzerland, it's not really too big of a thing. And it wouldn't be too big of a difference, let's say New York to here compared to Colombia. But it's just, that's one thing we now have to get used to, living in a big city here in the Americas or in Latin America. Then you want to take it away. That's one thing we found, which in Switzerland we never had that when we overheard a conversation in a restaurant of foreigners that we didn't like the conversation they had. And here it's different. If we hear other foreigners in restaurants, sometimes how they behave is just horrible. So what we don't like about living here, and that has nothing to do with the country or the city we're living in, but some people coming here, they see themselves superior than the people here, and you see it the way they behave towards like waiters and just like towards local people. And so sometimes they talk like really nasty about the people here, and that is something I don't like at all, because people here are so beautiful, like they're so friendly people and so welcoming when you try to communicate with them. And that's the thing, just like we don't like that like people from foreign countries think they're better than the people here, just because they have maybe a bigger amount on their bank account. Exactly. And then if you sit in the restaurant, you overheard these conversations, and then they're loud, they're obscene, and all of those things, which you can even see it in the Colombian side, especially the ones speaking or understanding English. It's that's really a thing I don't like. That's what we usually stay away from, the most, let's say, party touristy places here in the city, and stick to more local places, or we hang out with foreigners that are a little bit better educated than that. But anyway, these were all our 4 points for this video. I hope this video helped. Maybe you would see yourself also not liking those things. That's, I think, pretty much it. Do you want to add something there?
No, there's nothing to add.
So if you want to talk about what maybe the issue or whatever the good or bad things could be for you specifically, we offer Skype consultations where we would talk about, where we would answer your specific questions about life in Colombia, Latin America in general. So the link to that is in the description down below.